Hello everyone. Here we are, and the beauty of quarantine is you get to see me wear the same shirt for 2 nights every video. Anyway, or I don't know if that's quarantine or if that's just the way it is. Anyway, here we go. We're going to do First Chronicles chapter 8. We've only got 2 more chapters of this seeming listing, okay? And then we go into some recaps of some very important things. So let's get going with this, okay? The genealogy of Saul the Benjamite. Benjamin was the father of Bela, his firstborn. Ashbel, the second son, Ahara, the third, Noha, the fourth, and Rapha, the fifth. The sons of Bela were Adar, Gera, Abihud, Abishua, Naaman, Ahoa, Gera, Shephuphan, and Huram. These were the descendants of Ehud, who were heads of families of those living in Geba and were deported to Manahath. Naaman, Ahijah, Gera, who deported them, and who was the father of Uzzah and Ahihud. Sons were born to Shaharaim in Moab after he had divorced his wives, Husham and Bara. By his wife Hodesh, he had Jobab, Zibiah, Misha, Malcolm, Jeuz, Sakia, and Mirma. These were his sons, heads of families. By Husham, he had Abitub and Elpal. The sons of Elpal, Eber, Mishham, Shermed, who built Ono and Lod with its surrounding villages, and Beriah and Shema, who were heads of families of those living in Aijalon and who drove out the inhabitants of Gath. And we remember that Gath is a Philistine town. Ahio, Shashak, Jeremoth, Zabadiah, Arid, Eder, Michael, Ishpa, and Joha were the sons of Beriah. Zebediah, Meshullam, Hizkai, Heber, Ishmerai, Isliah, and Jobab were the sons of Elpal. Jacob, Zikri, Zabdi, Elinai, Zilatai, Eliel, Adiah, Bariah, and Shimrath were the sons of Shammai. Ishpan, Eber, Eliel, Abdon, Zikri, Hanan, Hananiah, Elam, and Totijah, Ifdiah, and Penuel were the sons of Shashak. Shamsharai, Shahariah, no, let me see how this is pronounced. Shahariah, Atalia, Jerushiah, Elisha, and Zikri were the sons of Jeroham. All these were heads of families, chiefs, as listed in their genealogy, and they lived in Jerusalem. Jael, the father of Gibeon, lived in Gibeon. His wife's name was Makkah, and his firstborn son was Abdon, followed by Zur, Kish, Baal, Ner, Nadab, Gedor, Ahio, Zechor, and Mikloth, who was the father of Shemaiah. They too lived near their relatives in Jerusalem. Ner was the father of Kish. Kish was the father of Saul, and Saul the father of Jonathan, Malchishua, Abinadab, and Eshbal. Now, we recognize some of these names. The son of Jonathan, Merib-Baal, who was the father of Micah. The sons of Micah, Python, that's P-I-T-H-O-N. It could be Python. I'm sorry, that just made me laugh because it made me think it was someone with a lisp. Sorry. Okay. Python, Melech, Tereah, and Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Jehoiada. Jehoiada was the father of Elameth, Asmaveth, and Zimri was the father of Mosa. Mosa was the father of Benaiah. Rapha was his son, Eliasa his son, and Azel his son. Sorry, I'm still laughing at myself. Bad joke. Azel had 6 sons, and these were their names: Azrikam, Bokeru, Ishmael, Shariah, Obadiah, and Hanan. All these were the sons of Azel. The sons of his brother Eshek: Ulam his firstborn, Jeush the second son, and Eliphelet the third. The sons of Ulam were brave warriors who could handle the bow. They had many sons and grandsons, 150 in all. All these were the descendants of Benjamin. Okay, last one where we go through all this kind of stuff. Chapter 9. All Israel was listed in the genealogies recorded in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. They were taken captive to Babylon because of their unfaithfulness. This is very sad. Now, the first to resettle on their own property in their own towns were some Israelites, priests, Levites, and temple servants. Those from Judah, from Benjamin, and from Ephraim and Manasseh who lived in Jerusalem were Uthai, son of Ammihud, the son of Omri, the son of Imri, the son of Bani, a descendant of Perez, son of Judah. Of the Shelonites, Uzziah, the firstborn, and his son. Of the Zerahites, Jeuel. The people from Judah numbered 690. Of the Benjamites, Silu, son of Meshullam, the son of Hodaviah, the son of Hasanua. Ibneiah, son of Jeroam, Elah, son of Uzzi, the son of Mikri, and Meshullam, son of Shephatiah, the son of Reuel, the son of Ibnijah. The people from Benjamin, as listed in their genealogy, numbered 956. All these men were heads of their families. Of the priests, Jediah, Jeholarib, Jachin. Azariah, son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Zadok, the son of Moriah, the son of Ahitub, the official in charge of the house of God. Adiah, son of Jeroam, the son of Pashur, the son of Malchijah, and Masai, son of Adiel, the son of Jezerah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Meshillemith, the son of Immer. The priests who were heads of families numbered 1,760. They were able men responsible for ministering in the house of God. Of the Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hashub, the son of Azrikam, the son of Hashabiah, a Merarite. Bakar, Haresh, Galal, and Mattaniah, son of Micah, the son of Zikri, the son of Asaph, Obadiah, son of Shemaiah, the son of Galal, the son of Jeduthun, and Berechiah, son of Asa, the son of Elkanah, who lived in the villages of the Netophatites. The gatekeepers. Okay, so we're just going through the list of all these faithful men in Israel. Shallum, Akub, Talmon, Ahiman, and their fellow Levites. Shallum, their chief, being stationed at the king's gate on the east up to the present time. These were the gatekeepers belonging to the camp of the Levites. Shallum, son of Kor, son of Abiasaph, son of Korah, and his fellow gatekeepers from his family, the Korahites, were responsible for guarding the thresholds of the tent, just as their ancestors had been responsible for guarding the entrance to the dwelling of the Lord. In earlier times, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, was the official in charge of the gatekeepers, and the Lord was with him. Zechariah, son of Meshelemiah, was the gatekeeper at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Altogether, those chosen to be gatekeepers at the thresholds numbered 212. They were registered by genealogy in their villages. The gatekeepers had been assigned to their positions of trust by David and Samuel, the seer, so the prophet Samuel. They and their descendants were in charge of guarding the gates of the house of the Lord, the house called the tent of meeting, before the actual temple was built. Remember, there was the tent of meeting. The gatekeepers were on the four sides, east, west, north, and south. Their fellow Levites in their villages had to come from time to time and share their duties for 7-day periods. But the four principal gatekeepers, who were Levites, were entrusted with the responsibility for the rooms and treasuries in the house of God. They would spend the night stationed around the house of God because they had to guard it. And they had charge of the key for opening it each morning. Some of them were in charge of the articles used in the temple service. They counted them when they were brought in and when they were taken out. Others were assigned to take care of the furnishings and all the other articles of the sanctuary, as well as the special flour and wine and the olive oil, incense, and spices. But some of the priests took care of mixing the spices. A Levite named Mattatiah, the firstborn of Shallum the Korahite, was entrusted with the responsibility for baking the offering bread. Some of the Kohathites, their fellow Levites, were in charge of preparing for every Sabbath the bread set out on the table. Those who were musicians, heads of Levite families, stayed in the rooms of the temple and were exempt from other duties because they were responsible for the work day and night. All these were heads of Levite families, chiefs, as listed in their genealogy, and they lived in Jerusalem. Jael, the father of Gibeon, lived in Gibeon. His wife's name was Maacah, and his firstborn son was Abdon, followed by Zur, Kish, Baal, Ner, Nadab, Gedor, Ahio, Zechariah, and Mikloth. Mikloth was the father of Shemeam. They too lived near their relatives in Jerusalem. Ner was the father of Kish, Kish the father of Saul, and Saul the father of Jonathan, Malchishua, Abinadab, and Eshbal. The son of Jonathan, Merib-Baal, who was the father of Micah, the sons of Micah, Python, Melech, Tariah, and Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Jada. Now this is Jada with an H at the end. Jada was the father of Alameth, Asmaveth, and Zimri was the father of Moza. Moza was the father of Benaiah. Raphiah was his son, Eleasah his son, and Azel his son. Azel had 6 sons, and these were their names: Azrikam, Bokeru, Ishmael, Shariah, Obadiah, and Hanan. These were the sons of Azel. Okay, so now we get to go into Chronicles 10, which is totally different. Okay, this is going to give us another angle of Saul, the king, when he took his own life. If you remember, he fell on his sword, or he asked his sword bearer to run him through because he was surrounded. So here we go. Now, the Philistines fought against Israel. The Israelites fled before them, and many fell dead on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines were in hot pursuit of Saul and his sons, and they killed his sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua. The fighting grew fierce around Saul, and when the archers overtook him, they wounded him. Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and run me through, or these uncircumcised fellows will come and abuse me." But his armor-bearer was terrified and wouldn't do it, so Saul took his own sword and fell on it. When the armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his sword and died. So Saul and his 3 sons died, and all his house died together. When all the Israelites in the valley saw that the army had fled and that Saul and his sons had died, they abandoned their towns and fled, and the Philistines came and occupied them. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They stripped him and took his head and his armor and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news among their idols and their people. They put his armor in the temple of their gods and hung up his head in the temple of Dagon. God, how awful to have your head hung up in the temple of a false god. When all the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all their valiant men went and took the bodies of Saul and his sons and brought them to Jabesh. Then they buried their bones under the great tree in Jabesh, and they fasted 7 days. Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He didn't keep the word of the Lord and even consulted a medium for guidance. Remember, he went to the witch of Endor? And did not inquire of the Lord. So the Lord put him to death and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse. And because we are really early, I'm going to read you chapter 11 of 1 Chronicles. All Israel, this is going to continue on now, okay? So this is going to be a recap of, a much less detailed account, because it's Chronicles, of what we already know, okay? So here we go. All Israel came together to David at Hebron and said, "We are your own flesh and blood. In the past, even while Saul was king, you were the one who led Israel on their military campaigns. And the Lord your God said to you, 'You will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become their ruler.'" When all the elders of Israel had come to King David at Hebron, he made a covenant with them at Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel, as the Lord had promised through Samuel. So this was a time when Israel was just one. It wasn't separated into Israel and Judah. It was just Israel, okay? David and all the Israelites marched to Jerusalem. That is Jebus, Jebus. I guess that's what Jerusalem was called. The Jebusites who lived there said to David, "You will not get in here." Nevertheless, David captured the fortress of Zion, which is the city of David. David had said, "Whoever leads the attack on the Jebusites will become commander-in-chief." Joab, son of Zeruiah, went up first, and so he received the command. David then took up residence in the fortress, and so it was called the City of David. He built up the city around it from the terraces to the surrounding wall, while Joab restored the rest of the city, and David became more and more powerful because the Lord Almighty was with him. These were the chiefs of David's mighty warriors. They, together with all Israel, gave his kingship strong support to extend it over the whole land as the Lord had promised. This is the list of David's mighty warriors: Jashobeam, a Hachmonite, was chief of the officers. He raised his spear against 300 men whom he killed in one encounter, and we've heard about these men. Next to him was Eleazar, son of Dodai the Ahohite, one of the three mighty warriors. He was with David at Pasdammim when the Philistines gathered there for battle. At a place where there was a field full of barley, the troops fled from the Philistines, but they took their stand in the middle of the field. They defended it and struck the Philistines down, and the Lord brought about a great victory. 3 of the 30 chiefs came down to David to the rock of the cave of Adullam, while a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rephaim. At that time, David was in the stronghold, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. David longed for water and said, "Oh, that someone would get me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem." So the 3 broke through the Philistine lines, drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem, and carried it back to David. But he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out to the Lord. "God forbid that I should do this," he said. "Should I drink the blood of these men who went at the risk of their lives?" Because they risked their lives to bring it back, David would not drink it. Such were the exploits of the 3 mighty warriors. Abishai, the brother of Joab, was the chief of the 3. He raised his spear against 300 men whom he killed, and so he became as famous as the 3. He was doubly honored above the 3 and became their commander, even though he wasn't included among them. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was a valiant fighter from Kabzeel, performed great exploits. He struck down Moab's 2 mightiest warriors. He also went down into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion. And he struck down an Egyptian who was 5 cubits tall. That would be about 10 feet. Although, because I think 5 cubits is 18 inches, so, almost, 8 feet. Although the Egyptian had a spear like a weaver's rod in his hand, Benaiah went against him with a club. He snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Such were the exploits of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada. He too was as famous as the 3 mighty warriors. He was held in greater honor than any of the 30, but he was not included among the 3, and David put him in charge of his bodyguard. The mighty warriors were Asahel, the brother of Joab, Elhanan, son of Dodo from Bethlehem, Shemoth the Hararite, Helez the Pelonite, Ira, son of Ikish from Tekoa, Abiezer from Anatoth, Sibbecai the Hushatite, Eli the Ahohite, Maharai the Netophatite, Hetel, son of Bana the Netophatite, Etal, son of Ribal from Gibeah in Benjamin, Benaiah the Piratonite, Hurai from the ravines of Gash, Gaash, Abiel the Arbitite, Asmaveth the Baharumite, Eliabah the Shalbanite, the sons of Hashem the Gizonite, Jonathan, son of Shagi the Hararite, Ahiam, son of Saker the Hararite, Eliphal, son of Hefer the Mecharatite, Ahijah the Pelonite, Hezro the Carmelite, Neral, son of Ezbai, Joel the brother of Nathan, Mibhar, son of Hagri, Zelek the Ammonite, Naharai the Berothite, the armor bearer of Joab, son of Zeruiah, Ira the Irite, Garab the Itrite, I'm sorry, not Irite, Itrite, Uriah the Hittite, Zabad, son of Ahiel, Adina, son of Shiza the Reubenite, who was chief of the Reubenites, and the 30 with him, Hanan, son of Makkah, Joshaphat the Mithnite, Uzziah the Ashtarothite, Shema and Jael, the sons of Hotham the Arorite, Jediel, son of Shimri, his brother Joha the Tizite, Eliel the Mahavite, Jerubbaal, and Joshaviah, the sons of Elnam, Ithma the Moabite, Eliel, Obed, and Jasiel the Mesobite. And there you have it. So tomorrow we'll pick it up with 1 Chronicles 12. I love you very much. I just want to say one thing about what's happening. You know, since we got this verdict with Chauvin, I'm noticing that there's division again amongst us, and it's very weird. It's like the Lord is really carving away and peeling away people, moving them aside, because now we've got people that are telling me that they're kind of going off of, you know, and this is the one, there's a few things I don't care for with Candace Owens. I mean, I think Candace Owens is awesome in her own way, but she's done some things that I think, or said some things that I think are a little damaging. And one of the things she came out and said was, you know, stop making George Floyd a martyr. He was a thug, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm seeing now is a lot of people calling him a thug, totally forgetting about the fact that he was murdered. And just sort of, you have to understand something about me. When somebody dies, my first thought is, where's their soul? Okay, that's what I'm thinking about. So to me, death is a tragedy for anybody. Okay, unless they know the Lord, it's really a tragedy. I don't know if he's in heaven. I don't know what happened in the last seconds of George Floyd's life. But what I'm seeing is a real cruelty and hardness of heart in people, and I'm seeing a lot of racism, which is alarming me, to be quite honest with you, because I never thought of America as a racist country. I know we've had our moments, okay, and I'm not denying those horrible things that have happened where we have shown ourselves to be very racist, but I really thought that was dead, and I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing in very young people some really strong racism and some really strong nastiness towards drug addicts. You know, do you know that I was a heroin addict? Any drug addict, every day they breathe and get breath, they have a chance to recover. And they might recover and teach you the Bible. So I feel like crying, and I've been very triggered for the last so many hours because of the cruelty I'm witnessing, and the, you know, saying that he deserved to die and Chauvin should have gotten off. And I saw Chauvin sitting there with his knee on his neck, and now they're telling me, oh no, they're showing videos of him with his knee on his back. And I'm like, well, they can doctor videos, but then somebody finally admitted that they were showing him with the knee on the neck. So the bottom line is, people are arguing over this the way they argued over Trump. And it's getting really ugly out there. And I don't know how to handle it. So I've just put up a big disclaimer that says, please unfriend me if you're going to tell me how horrible George Floyd was and that he ought to have died and Chauvin should have been released, and now they're blaming it on Maxine Waters, that she got Chauvin convicted. Chauvin would have been convicted anyway in my book. I mean, he's as guilty can be. So anyway, I definitely don't want to hear any racism, any anti-drug addicts. I mean, his past wasn't on trial. Chauvin was on trial, but they're telling me, well, he stuck a knife in the belly of a pregnant woman. Okay, George Floyd's paid for it, hasn't he? He's dead. Okay, but now he's being lauded as this horrible person who deserved to be murdered, and how dare us? I mean, I'll dare say that this is the first white man that's gone to jail finally for the killing of a black man. And actually, I don't see color, so I hate to put something in terms that seem almost racist to put it to you like that. And I'm not saying that Chauvin is a guinea pig who needed to go to jail to prove that. Chauvin is guilty. He was the vehicle that took somebody else's life. And to make it okay by saying the person's a drug addict really hurts my heart really badly. And I just don't want to hear any of it on my site. I have a heart for those who die because I don't know where they went, okay? And I think it would serve a lot of them right, to be honest with you, to see George Floyd in heaven while they don't make it there, because the cruelty is so powerful. So what I'm seeing is the Lord continues to peel away people that are just undeserving of Jesus Christ. Honestly, I know that's kind of a heavy thing to say, and I don't mean that as like a decree, you're not worthy. Well, none of us are worthy of Jesus Christ. But the point I'm making is it's like we saw a deep separation with the Trump thing, and now we're seeing more separation with this. It's like even Trumpers now are being separated out with by their hatred for this human being. That was murdered. So it's really weird. It's coming right down to a very thin remnant of people that have a heart for God, that have a heart for people. And, you know, that's all I have to say about that. I love you very much. I will see you tomorrow, and we'll pick it up at 1 Chronicles 12. I forgot, in all the times I've read the Bible, I totally forgot that. I think I've read it 4 times, but you know, I forgot there was so much stuff at the beginning of Chronicles like this. But I'm learning a lot with you guys as I go through it this time. I'm learning and that's the beauty of Scripture, is every time when you just keep reading it, you just always learn something new. So it's just a really deep, beautiful dive into some real mystery. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.